So, welcome to Coffee with Jesus. On Tuesday, looking again at this whole question of being born again. John chapter 3, and I'm going to read from verse 8. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it's going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. I love this image. You know, the Spirit, you hear the wind, you see the effects of the wind, but you don't see the wind itself. And that is evidence of the Spirit at work. You can have the roaring wind or you can have the gentle breeze. Now, it's interesting that the Greek word for spirit is the same as wind. And again, I think that's indicative of how God works. You know, sometimes people would argue that you see the Spirit at work in the great signs. And I think that could be true. I mean, on the day of Pentecost, obviously the tongues of fire, for example, coming down on the heads of people, the fact that they spoke in other tongues. But I think also the more common thing is the Spirit at work in people's lives, changing people's lives. Now, I would say he works in different ways, but I'll give two examples. One is in the context of corporate worship, that there have been times when we've just been conscious of God's presence, just something. You couldn't prescribe it, you couldn't program it, but there was just something that, you know, people would come in and say, truly God is amongst you. And then the other example I would use is that of amongst individuals. And I've seen it in different ways, sometimes quite spectacular. I remember one lady who was Jehovah's Witness lady, and, you know, she and I had argued back and forward about hell and the Trinity and everything else. And then one Sunday, I saw her physically change in front of me. She just changed. There was just this absolute transformation. I've never seen it in anybody else before, and I haven't seen it in anyone else since. But she came to the door and she said, I need to see you. And I said, yeah, I think so. And I went to see her the following week, and she told me that she'd become a Christian. I said, yeah, I saw it. And I said, what was the difference? She said, oh, the Holy Spirit. Now, that was spectacular. As I say, I've only ever seen that once in my ministry. But I have seen people being transformed by the gospel through the Spirit working in their lives. And surely that's what we all long for. So, he's like the wind. We don't see him, but we do see the effects. I long to see the effects of the Holy Spirit in the congregation here, in the community here, and wherever you are. Then people truly will come in amongst you and say, yeah, God is with you. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Bye.